Have you ever picked up your phone just to check one message? And suddenly an hour is gone. You're not alone. Social media can be fun, but for many people, it quietly turns into an addiction that affects focus, happiness, and even health. In this video, I'll share the 5 most important things you need to know about social media addiction, from the warning signs to simple solutions that can change your life. Stay with me because you might realize just how much social media is controlling you. When we talk about signs of social media addiction, the first thing that comes to mind is the sheer compulsion to check your phone repeatedly throughout the day. It's not a conscious decision anymore, it becomes an automatic behavior. Imagine waking up in the morning and before even stretching or brushing your teeth, your hand instinctively reaches for your phone. The first thing you see is not the sunlight entering through your window, but the glow of your screen, notifications, messages, likes, comments. They all greet you before the real world does. This constant need to check updates creates a loop in the brain where dopamine spikes occur every time there's a new interaction, and the lack of such stimuli makes you feel restless. That's one of the strongest signs that you may be dealing with social media addiction. Another clear sign is the inability to stay away from social platforms for even short periods. Many people attempt to set limits for themselves, such as I'll only check Instagram after work, or I'll take a break from TikTok until the weekend. Yet, when the moment comes, the urge feels overwhelming. You might find yourself sneaking quick looks at your feed during lunch breaks, during boring meetings, or even while in conversations with friends and family. This inability to control usage is a red flag, just as it would be with any other addictive behavior. Social media has become the digital cigarette for many, something that fills empty moments but is harmful in the long run. The constant need for validation is also a powerful indicator. People who are addicted to social media often place immense value on how many likes, comments, or shares their posts receive. If a photo or status update doesn't perform well, it can trigger disappointment, self-doubt, or even anxiety. Conversely, when a post gains attention, it produces an emotional high, reinforcing the cycle. This reliance on external validation can deeply impact self-esteem because your worth becomes tied to numbers on a screen rather than genuine interactions or personal achievements. Another sign is the way time seems to disappear while scrolling. What might begin as a quick 5-minute break can easily turn into an hour or more of mindless consumption. Apps are designed to encourage endless engagement. Auto-playing videos, infinite scroll features, and constant notifications. If you often lose track of time on social media, ending up surprised at how late it has become, you may be experiencing one of the hallmark symptoms of addiction. This habit disrupts daily routines, steals valuable hours, and contributes to procrastination, leaving tasks undone or rushed at the last minute. Sleep disruption is another warning sign. Many people keep their phones by their bedside and check them just before sleeping or even in the middle of the night. Exposure to bright screens delays the release of melatonin, making it harder to fall asleep. Beyond that, emotionally stimulating content, whether it's exciting, funny, or upsetting, can leave the mind racing, preventing deep rest. If you find yourself scrolling late into the night or waking up groggy because of a late-night online session, that's an indicator of dependence. Sleep should be a time to recharge, but social media often robs people of the quality rest they need. Relationships in the real world also suffer when social media usage becomes compulsive. Imagine being out to dinner with friends or family, but instead of engaging in conversation, you keep checking your phone under the table. Or think about sitting with your partner on the couch, yet both of you are more focused on your individual feeds than each other. These scenarios may seem trivial, but repeated patterns erode connections and create feelings of neglect. Social media addiction often makes digital interactions feel more urgent than face-to-face conversations, leading to shallow bonds and weakening important relationships. In addition to strained relationships, attention span is heavily affected. People addicted to social media often find it difficult to focus on tasks that require sustained concentration. Whether it's reading a book, working on a project, or even watching a full-length movie, the brain craves constant stimulation, making long, focused activities feel boring or unbearable. This is particularly noticeable among students who, instead of studying for an hour straight, find themselves switching between textbooks and their phones every few minutes. That inability to remain focused reduces learning, productivity, and the overall ability to perform at one's best. Emotional regulation also becomes compromised. For instance, if you feel anxious, bored, or sad, you might instinctively turn to social media for distraction. While this can provide temporary relief, it doesn't solve the underlying problem. Instead, it creates dependency where you rely on scrolling to escape negative emotions. Over time, this coping mechanism becomes automatic, and your ability to handle emotions in healthier ways diminishes. In moments when you're without access to your phone or Wi-Fi, this can create heightened irritability, restlessness, or even withdrawal-like symptoms, which further signal an addictive relationship with these platforms. One more subtle yet significant sign of social media addiction is constant comparison. You may scroll through your feed and see friends traveling, colleagues celebrating achievements, or influencers showing off perfect lifestyles. This often leads to feelings of inadequacy, envy, or dissatisfaction with your own life. Even when you know intellectually that much of social media is curated and filtered, the emotional impact remains. When comparisons become habitual and you frequently feel worse after being online, it's a sign that social media is negatively controlling your thoughts and emotions. Finally, one of the most telling signs is denial. When others point out that you're on your phone too much or that social media is interfering with your life, the defensive response may be to downplay or dismiss their concerns. You might say, everyone uses it a lot, or it's just a way to relax, but deep down, if you feel anxious at the thought of deleting apps or spending even one day offline, it's an undeniable indicator of dependence. Admitting that there might be a problem is often the hardest step, but it's also the beginning of change. In essence, the signs of social media addiction are not limited to one or two behaviors, but form a pattern that infiltrates multiple aspects of life. From disrupted sleep and reduced focus to strained relationships and emotional reliance, the indicators are all interconnected. Recognizing these signs is the first step toward regaining control, because without awareness, it's easy to remain trapped in a cycle of endless scrolling and digital dependency. By paying attention to these warning signals, individuals can start questioning their habits and take small but meaningful steps to reclaim balance in their lives. When we explore the causes of social media addiction, it becomes clear that it's not just about technology or the apps themselves, it's about how they interact with human psychology. One of the most powerful drivers is the phenomenon known as FOMO, or fear of missing out. This is the anxious feeling that you're being left behind while others are experiencing something exciting or meaningful. Social media amplifies this fear because it constantly presents curated highlights of people's lives. Birthdays, vacations, parties, promotions, achievements, all of these moments appear in your feed, and when you're not part of them, you feel excluded. Even if you were not interested in the event to begin with, the awareness that others are participating without you can create a sense of loss. This fear pushes people to check their phones obsessively to ensure they're always up to date, reinforcing the cycle of dependence. Closely linked to FOMO is the craving for validation. Human beings are inherently social creatures, wired to seek approval and belonging from their communities. In traditional settings, validation came from meaningful interactions, praise from a teacher, encouragement from a friend, recognition from family. On social media, however, validation has been quantified into likes, comments, and shares. These digital signals carry disproportionate weight, and every time a notification appears, it reinforces the brain's reward system. Studies have shown That receiving likes activates the same neural pathways as other forms of reward, releasing dopamine and giving a quick emotional boost. Over time, this creates a powerful feedback loop where users post not for expression but for affirmation. When posts don't receive expected attention, it can lead to feelings of rejection, while high engagement produces short-lived euphoria. The search for validation keeps people hooked. Another critical cause is the way social media serves as a tool for emotional escape. Life comes with stress, boredom, and discomfort, and for many, social media has become the easiest outlet to distract from these feelings. A student overwhelmed by exams might scroll through TikTok to avoid studying. An employee stressed about work might spend a lunch break endlessly browsing Instagram. Even small moments of awkward silence waiting in line, riding an elevator, or sitting alone at a cafe become filled with quick checks of a phone. The habit of reaching for social media in these situations creates dependency because instead of learning to manage or process emotions, the brain turns to the quick relief of distraction. The more this habit is reinforced, the harder it becomes to face uncomfortable moments without it. Behind these personal psychological factors lies another powerful cause: the intentional design of social media platforms. These apps are not neutral tools, they are engineered to capture and retain attention. Features like infinite scroll, autoplay videos, and push notifications are not accidental, they are deliberate strategies informed by behavioral psychology. The aim is to maximize the time users spend on the platform because more time online translates into more advertising revenue. For example, infinite scroll removes the natural stopping point that books, magazines, or even television shows have. Without an endpoint, the brain doesn't receive the signal to stop, so people continue scrolling far longer than intended. Similarly, push notifications are designed to lure users back into the app even when they had no plan to check it. These mechanisms exploit human vulnerabilities, making self-control incredibly difficult. Peer influence also plays a significant role. Social media is not only about individual behavior, but also about social norms. When everyone around you is constantly online, posting, and engaging, it becomes difficult to step back without feeling disconnected. Teenagers, in particular, face immense pressure to maintain a digital presence because their social standing often feels tied to how visible and active they are online. If a group of friends creates a shared story or trend and you're not part of it, you risk feeling like an outsider. This pressure reinforces the cycle of constant engagement, not necessarily out of desire, but out of fear of social exclusion. Adults are not immune either. Many professionals feel compelled to remain active on platforms like LinkedIn to maintain relevance in their careers, even when it contributes to stress. Another cause is the powerful role of algorithms. These algorithms track every click, like, and pause to curate feeds that are highly personalized. If you linger over a video of travel destinations, you'll be shown more of the same, creating an endless stream of content aligned with your interests. This personalization makes it difficult to disengage because the feed feels uniquely tailored to you, constantly offering new reasons to keep watching or scrolling. Algorithms thrive on amplifying emotional content, outrage, joy, or surprise because emotional reactions increase engagement. As a result, users are fed a steady diet of high-stimulation content, which further reinforces dependency, low self-esteem, and insecurity. Also fuel addiction. For people who struggle with self-confidence, social media provides a stage to construct an idealized version of themselves. Posting carefully selected photos, using filters, or crafting witty captions can temporarily boost their sense of worth. Yet, this creates a fragile dependence because self-image becomes tied to online performance. The contrast between online persona and real-life challenges deepens the reliance on social media for self-assurance. This is particularly damaging For teenagers, whose identities are still forming and who are especially sensitive to peer comparison, accessibility is another factor that cannot be ignored. Unlike other addictive substances or behaviors, social media is available everywhere and at all times. A smartphone fits in a pocket, and Wi-Fi or mobile data ensures constant connectivity. There are no natural barriers to access, making it harder to resist temptation. Unlike alcohol or gambling, which may require specific settings or purchases, social media is free and ever-present. This ease of access lowers the threshold for addictive behavior, encouraging habitual use throughout the day. The final cause lies in the cultural glorification of being busy and connected. In modern society, there's an expectation that people should always be reachable, always informed, and always responsive. Social media becomes a tool to maintain that image, where being offline can feel like falling behind. The pressure to be updated, to comment, to react, and to participate in online conversations creates a sense of duty that goes beyond personal choice. This cultural environment normalizes excessive use, masking the reality of addiction behind the illusion of productivity and connectivity. In summary, the causes of social media addiction are complex and multifaceted, blending psychological vulnerabilities, technological design, social pressure, and cultural expectations. From FOMO and validation seeking to algorithmic manipulation and peer influence, these causes work together to create an environment where detachment feels almost impossible. Understanding these underlying factors is essential because without recognizing why the addiction forms, efforts to break free often fail. The pull of social media is not simply about entertainment, it's about deep-rooted human needs and the clever exploitation of those needs by platforms designed to profit from attention. When we look at the negative effects of social media addiction, it becomes clear that its impact extends far beyond wasted time. It infiltrates mental health, physical well-being, productivity, and even relationships, shaping the way people perceive themselves and interact with the world. One of the most well-documented consequences is the increase in anxiety and depression. Social media fosters an environment of constant comparison where users measure their lives against the curated highlights of others. A friend's vacation, a colleague's promotion, or an influencer's perfect body. All of these images create a distorted reality. Instead of seeing them as isolated moments, people often interpret them as everyday standards. Over time, this comparison leads to feelings of inadequacy, loneliness, and low self-worth. For those already vulnerable to mental health struggles, the endless cycle of comparison can worsen symptoms and create a spiral of negativity. Another major effect is reduced self-esteem. While social media can provide temporary boosts through likes and comments, it also creates dependency on external validation. When engagement is low, individuals may feel rejected or invisible. This fluctuation between emotional highs and lows erodes self-confidence, making it harder to build self-worth independently of digital approval. Teenagers are especially at risk as their identities are still developing and their sense of value can become dangerously tied to online popularity. Over time, this dependency distorts self-perception, creating fragile egos that need constant reinforcement. Productivity is another area deeply impacted. Many people underestimate the cumulative effect of small distractions. Checking social media for just a minute quickly turns into 10, and repeating this several times a day fragments attention and disrupts focus. Research on multitasking shows that every interruption requires several minutes to fully regain concentration, meaning social media usage at work or school leads to significant performance declines. Students who habitually switch between textbooks and their phones retain less information, while professionals who check notifications during tasks complete projects more slowly and with more errors. Addiction to social media essentially rewires the brain to seek constant stimulation, making sustained, focused effort increasingly difficult. Sleep is also profoundly affected. Blue light emitted by screens interferes with melatonin production, delaying sleep onset. Beyond that, the content itself often stimulates emotions, whether excitement, anger, or curiosity, that keep the mind alert when it should be winding down. Many people fall into the habit of scrolling late at night, telling themselves they'll check just a few more posts, only to realize an hour has passed. Poor sleep leads to fatigue, irritability, and reduced cognitive function the next day. Over time, chronic sleep disruption contributes to more serious health issues such as weakened immunity, weight gain, and cardiovascular stress. For teenagers who need more sleep for proper development, this effect can be particularly damaging. Relationships, too, suffer in ways both subtle and profound. When individuals prioritize virtual interactions over face-to-face connections, loved ones often feel neglected. Couples may sit together in silence, each absorbed in their own screen, gradually losing the intimacy of shared conversation. Friends may find themselves competing with digital distractions for attention during outings or dinners. Over time, this behavior weakens bonds, creating emotional distance. Social media addiction also fuels jealousy and mistrust as partners scrutinize each other's online activities, leading to unnecessary conflicts. Instead of fostering connection, excessive use can isolate individuals from the people physically present in their lives. Physical health is another casualty. Extended screen time encourages sedentary behavior, which contributes to weight gain, poor posture, and related health issues like back pain or eye strain. The constant mental stimulation also triggers stress responses, raising cortisol levels and placing strain on the body. For some, excessive social media use pairs with unhealthy habits like snacking or skipping exercise, compounding the physical toll. Though social media addiction may not seem as obviously harmful as substance abuse, its long-term effects on health are no less concerning. Another negative impact is the distortion of reality. Social media platforms are filled with curated, filtered, and sometimes fabricated portrayals of life. Influencers showcase idealized lifestyles, and users often hide their struggles behind polished posts. This creates an illusion that everyone else's life is more exciting, successful, or beautiful than your own. Consuming these illusions daily leads to dissatisfaction with one's reality. People may begin to undervalue their achievements, overlook the joys of everyday life, and constantly strive for unattainable standards. This disconnect between online portrayals and real experiences erodes happiness and fuels chronic discontent. Cognitive function also suffers from overuse. The brain, conditioned to expect short bursts of information, adapts to quick rewards from scrolling. Long-form reading, deep conversations, or complex problem-solving begin to feel taxing. Over time, attention spans shorten and the ability to engage in meaningful reflection diminishes. This shift doesn't only affect academic or professional tasks, but also personal growth. Activities like journaling, meditation, or even enjoying nature become harder because the brain craves the instant stimulation of notifications. For younger users, particularly children and teenagers, the negative effects are magnified. Excessive use during formative years disrupts social development as real-life communication skills are replaced by digital interactions. Bullying, once limited to schools, now follows children home through online harassment, exposure to unrealistic beauty standards, consumerist messages, and toxic communities can have long-lasting consequences on self-image and mental health. Addiction at this age sets the stage for lifelong struggles with digital balance. Even societal consequences are worth noting. Social media addiction reduces civic engagement as individuals spend more time consuming entertainment than participating in community activities. It fuels polarization by trapping users in echo chambers where they are repeatedly exposed to the same viewpoints. Misinformation spreads rapidly, often amplified by algorithms, contributing to confusion and distrust. While these are broader Societal effects, they stem from individual patterns of addictive use, showing how personal habits ripple outward to shape entire communities. Perhaps the most insidious effect of all is the erosion of presence. Life happens in real time, yet social media addiction constantly pulls attention away from the present moment. Whether at family gatherings, walking in nature, or simply sitting quietly, the mind drifts to what might be happening online. This inability to fully experience the here and now diminishes the richness of life. Over time, people may find themselves with countless digital memories, photos, posts, stories, but fewer genuine lived experiences. The cost of addiction is not just measured in hours wasted, but in moments of life that slip by unnoticed. In essence, the negative effects of social media addiction form a web that touches nearly every dimension of life. It undermines mental health, reduces productivity, disrupts sleep, weakens relationships, damages physical health, distorts reality, and diminishes the quality of everyday experiences. What makes these effects particularly dangerous is their subtlety. They accumulate gradually, often going unnoticed until the damage is significant. Recognizing these consequences is vital because awareness is the first step toward reclaiming balance and ensuring that technology serves us, rather than controls us. When we shift the focus to the benefits of reducing social media usage, the picture becomes more hopeful. While the challenges of addiction are real, stepping back from constant scrolling can transform daily life in profound and positive ways. One of the first benefits people often notice is a dramatic improvement in focus and concentration. Without the constant ping of notifications or the temptation to check feeds every few minutes, the brain begins to regain its capacity for sustained attention. Tasks that once felt fragmented can be completed with greater efficiency and quality. Students discover they can study for longer stretches without distraction, and professionals find themselves entering productive flow states more easily. This heightened focus not only improves performance, but also fosters a sense of accomplishment and confidence that is often lost in the haze of distraction. Along with focus comes a surge of creativity. Social media is filled with endless consumption memes, videos, and images that crowd the mind with external noise. When you reduce this input, you create mental space for original thoughts to emerge. Ideas begin to flow during quiet moments that were previously filled with scrolling. Writers find themselves inspired, artists rediscover imagination, and problem solvers come up with innovative solutions. Creativity thrives in stillness, and by cutting down on digital clutter, the mind reconnects with its natural capacity for invention and expression. Mental health is another area that sees remarkable improvement. Reduced exposure to constant comparison lessens feelings of inadequacy and envy. Instead of measuring yourself against filtered portrayals of other people's lives, you begin to focus more on your own journey. This shift reduces anxiety and boosts self-esteem. Many people who step back from social media report feeling lighter, calmer, and more at peace. They find joy in simple experiences, sharing a meal with family, walking outdoors, or reading a book without the compulsion to document or compare. Over time, this creates a more grounded and authentic sense of well-being. Stress also diminishes when social media usage is reduced. The constant flood of information, breaking news, viral controversies, and emotional content overstimulates the nervous system. While it can feel important to stay up to date, the reality is that most of this information does little to improve our lives and often increases feelings of helplessness. By limiting exposure, you give your mind a chance to breathe. Instead of reacting to every headline or online debate, you regain control over where your energy goes. The result is greater emotional stability and resilience in the face of life's challenges. Relationships benefit immensely from less time online. When phones are put aside, genuine conversations deepen, couples begin to share more meaningful moments without the interference of notifications. Parents who reduce their screen time are more present with their children, strengthening bonds and setting healthier examples. Friends enjoy each other's company more fully, creating memories rooted in presence rather than distracted glances at a phone. These real-world connections nourish emotional needs in ways digital interactions never can, bringing greater fulfillment and intimacy into daily life. Sleep quality improves significantly when social media use is curtailed, especially in the evening. Without the habit of scrolling before bed, the mind has time to wind down naturally. Falling asleep becomes easier, and the rest is deeper and more restorative. Waking up refreshed enhances mood, productivity, and overall health. For many, simply removing screens from the bedroom creates a transformative difference in sleep patterns. This small adjustment leads to better mornings, reduced fatigue, and a more balanced lifestyle. Physical health also begins to recover when less time is spent on social media. Reduced screen time means more opportunities to move, exercise, and engage in activities that strengthen the body. Instead of spending hours sitting hunched over a phone, people rediscover hobbies like walking, biking, or practicing yoga. Eye strain, headaches, and posture-related discomfort decrease while energy levels rise. This physical renewal enhances both body and mind, creating a holistic improvement in well-being. Another powerful benefit is the rediscovery of time. Many people underestimate how much of their day is consumed by scrolling. Even just 2 hours per day adds up to 30 full days per year spent on social media. By cutting back, you reclaim hours that can be invested in more meaningful pursuits. Learning a new skill, reading books, building a side project, or simply resting becomes possible again. This reclaimed time adds depth and richness to life, allowing personal growth that was once crowded out by endless feeds. A reduced reliance on social media also cultivates stronger self-awareness. Without constant external input, you begin to reconnect with your own thoughts and emotions. Instead of seeking distraction when bored or anxious, you learn to sit with those feelings and understand them. This fosters emotional intelligence, resilience, and self-acceptance. Journaling, meditation, or quiet reflection become natural ways to process experiences, leading to greater clarity about who you are and what you truly value. Perhaps one of the most meaningful benefits is the shift toward living more authentically. When social media is no longer the lens through which you view your life, you stop performing for an audience. Instead of thinking, "How will this look online?" you focus on how it feels in the moment. Vacations become about experiences rather than photos. Meals become about nourishment and connection rather than aesthetic presentation. Achievements become satisfying for their own sake rather than for external applause. This authenticity fosters a deeper sense of happiness and contentment. Finally, reducing social media use empowers you to regain control of your own attention. Attention is one of the most valuable resources we have. It shapes what we learn, what we feel, and ultimately who we become. When platforms control your attention, your life becomes reactive, shaped by algorithms and trends. When you reclaim it, you begin to live intentionally, choosing what truly matters to you. This empowerment is perhaps the greatest benefit of all because it extends into every aspect of life, from relationships and health to career and personal growth. In essence, reducing social media use does not mean rejecting technology altogether. It means creating healthier boundaries that allow you to enjoy the positive aspects of digital connection without being consumed by it. The benefits: greater focus, creativity, mental clarity, emotional stability, deeper relationships, better sleep, improved health, reclaimed time, self-awareness, and authenticity combine to create a richer and more fulfilling life. The contrast is often striking. What once felt impossible to give up becomes something you're grateful to have left behind. By stepping back, you rediscover the joy of living fully in the present, and in doing so, you regain the freedom to shape your life on your own terms. The conversation about social media addiction would not be complete without exploring effective strategies to overcome it. While awareness of the problem is the first step, lasting change requires intentional actions, consistent practice, and a willingness to build healthier habits. Social media has been designed to be addictive. It exploits human psychology with features like endless scrolling, variable rewards, and notifications that create dopamine-driven urges. Therefore, breaking free is not just about willpower, but about restructuring one's environment and routines in ways that make healthier choices easier and more sustainable. One of the most effective strategies is setting clear boundaries. This can involve establishing specific times of the day when you allow yourself to check social media and avoiding it during other hours. For example, you might decide to only check platforms during your lunch break and for 30 minutes in the evening. Creating a schedule reduces impulsive use and gives you back control over your time. Boundaries also extend to physical spaces. Keeping phones out of the bedroom or away from the dining table helps preserve areas of life where real connection and rest are most important. These boundaries act as guardrails that protect you from sliding back into compulsive patterns. Another powerful method is turning off non-essential notifications. Every buzz or ping is designed to pull you back into the app, even when it's not important. By silencing alerts, you reduce the constant interruptions that fragment attention. Instead of reacting to notifications, you regain the ability to choose when and how to engage. Over time, this reduces the sense of urgency that social media creates and makes space for more intentional behaviors. Some people go a step further by removing the apps from their phones altogether, accessing them only through a browser, which adds friction and makes impulsive use less likely. Replacing social media time with alternative activities is also essential. Habits don't disappear, they are replaced. If you simply cut out scrolling without filling the gap, boredom or stress will likely push you back into old patterns. Instead, identify activities that nourish your reading, exercising, cooking, journaling, learning an instrument, or spending time with loved ones. By associating free moments with fulfilling alternatives, you gradually weaken the pull of social media. These activities not only provide enjoyment, but also contribute to personal growth and well-being, making the trade-off feel worthwhile. Mindfulness practices can play a transformative role in overcoming addiction. Meditation, deep breathing, or simply pausing to notice your impulses before acting helps cultivate awareness of how often you reach for your phone out of habit rather than necessity. By creating a small space between the urge and the action, you gain the power to make a conscious choice. This awareness extends beyond social media. It strengthens self-control across all areas of life. Journaling about your emotions or reflecting on why you feel the need to scroll can reveal underlying triggers such as loneliness, stress, or boredom. Addressing these root causes directly reduces the reliance on digital distraction. Digital detoxes are another effective approach. These involve intentionally stepping away from social media for a set period, perhaps a day each week, a weekend, or even a longer break. At first, the absence can feel uncomfortable, even unsettling, but as time passes, many people experience a surprising sense of relief. Detoxes reset the brain's reward system, breaking the cycle of constant dopamine stimulation. They also provide a valuable perspective, allowing you to see how much time and energy were previously consumed by screens. After returning, many choose to re-engage in a more limited and conscious way. Accountability can be a game changer in breaking social media addiction. Sharing your goals with friends, family, or even online support groups creates external motivation. When others are aware of your intentions, you're more likely to follow through. Some people take this further by using accountability apps that track screen time and send reports. Others create challenges with friends, such as competing to see who can spend the least time online in a week. The social element transforms the process into a shared journey rather than a solitary struggle. An important strategy is redefining the purpose of social media in your life. Instead of using it passively for endless entertainment, you can choose to use it actively and intentionally. This might mean curating your feed to include only meaningful content, educational accounts, inspiring voices, or updates from close friends. It may also involve unfollowing accounts that trigger comparison, negativity, or wasted time. By aligning your online environment with your values and goals, social media shifts from being a source of distraction to a tool for growth. Self-compassion is essential throughout this process. Overcoming addiction is rarely a straight line. Setbacks are normal. Instead of feeling guilty after slipping back into old habits, it's important to treat yourself with kindness and use the moment as an opportunity to learn. Ask what triggered the relapse and adjust your strategies accordingly. This mindset prevents discouragement and keeps you moving forward. Growth is built through consistency, not perfection. Professional help may also be necessary for those facing severe addiction that interferes with daily functioning. Therapists can provide tailored strategies, uncover underlying emotional issues, and offer tools for building healthier coping mechanisms. Cognitive behavioral therapy (CBT) in particular has shown effectiveness in addressing behavioral addictions by helping individuals reframe thought patterns and develop practical skills for self-control. Seeking help is not a sign of weakness, but of strength. It demonstrates a commitment to reclaiming one's life. Ultimately, the strategies for overcoming social media addiction are about regaining balance. Technology itself is not the enemy. It becomes harmful only when it consumes more than it gives. By setting boundaries, turning off distractions, replacing habits, practicing mindfulness, engaging in detoxes, seeking accountability, redefining purpose, and practicing self-compassion, anyone can begin to break free. The process requires patience, but the rewards are immense: greater focus, deeper relationships, improved mental health, and more meaningful use of time. What makes these strategies effective is not just that they reduce screen time, but that they encourage intentional living. When you stop allowing algorithms to dictate your attention, you take back control of your life. Each moment becomes a conscious choice rather than an automatic reaction. Overcoming social media addiction is not about rejecting modern life, but about ensuring that technology serves you rather than the other way around. This shift empowers you to live more fully with clarity, purpose, and freedom. So, now you know the 5 key things about social media addiction: the signs, the causes, the damage it can do, and most importantly, the solutions to take back control of your life. Remember, your time and energy are too valuable to be wasted on endless scrolling. Start small, make changes step by step, and you'll feel the difference in your focus, happiness, and relationships. If this video gave you something to think about, don't just keep it to yourself, share it with a friend who might need it too. And of course, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment below with your thoughts, and join our community, where we share more tips to live a happier, healthier life. See you in the next video.